Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Laurel Park. Happy post-Maryland Million Day Sunday. Naomi Tucker next to Tim Tulloch here. What a terrific day of racing we got treated to yesterday. We were just discussing, what were some of the standouts because there was so many great racing.
Well, it was amazing. It was an amazing day. It started with Be Determined, and I guess the standouts to me were the juvenile races, the nursery and the lassie, both sired by Buff My Boots and Buff Hello, and they just both those young horses, they got game, really game in the stretch to get their victory. So that was a lot of fun. And then of course the rest of the car, Grateful Bread and Hello Beautiful and Prendimi in the classic. Yep. Another horse who got down and dirty to win it. So yeah, all up and down. Not to mention I got my price play home. $17.80 with Calypso Ghost.
That was a good call. I'm going to have to give you that one. That was a very good call. Yeah, I agree with you. The nursery race, I knew that the juvenile and the lassie were the races that were really competitive. But, those performances that we saw indeed from Buff My Boots and Buff Hello, both by Buffum, the way they ran was very kind of similar. So you really saw that sire influence there as well. Really dug in deep down the stretch and not let anyone pass. And also, of course, Buff Hello gave jockey Charlie Marquez his first Maryland Million Stakes victory as well. So we'll talk about all of that in a second and of course more. But first we are looking ahead of the next big event, but this will be at our sister track, the Pegasus World Cup in January. Pre-sale tickets have gone live, so go to pegasusworldcup.com to get access now. And of course, if you were playing along with us yesterday, you might want to have a look at who you're betting with, because we do have a preferred wagering partner, First Bet and Express Bet. And if you use our promo code MJC1000, you get $1,000 sign up bonus. I think that's good enough to kind of sway you towards the direction of First Bet, right?
It would be enough for me if I wasn't already there.
True.
Maybe
I'm there already
get
too.
off and get back on.
Oh, those are coming up with those ideas. Now, I would want that sign-up bonus as well. But as for the racing on offer today, we have 9 races coming your way. And we have a couple of carryovers. The Pick 6 starts in race number 4, and that's a quite decent number there.
$7,723, as you mentioned, starts in race 4. But after that, starting race 5, big carryover in the race in the
late pick 5.
The late pick 5.
$32,726. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen such a significant carryover in the late pick 5. We had a couple, 10,000 or more, but this is, of course, a fair bit of money that was pumped into it yesterday.
Yeah, and it will be well played today, starting with that sort of pool. So if you haven't looked into playing the late pick 5 yet, you might want to get into it and start studying and figure it out. So it will be well played. And it's not going to be a dull day the day after Maryland Million. We've got these nice carryovers. We've got a bit of a tricky card.
Agreed.
A bit of a tricky card, but we might want to get into it.
Yeah, let's get going here. Let's look at the current track conditions. Fast and firm. We do see that, as you highlighted the other day, fall has well and truly arrived.
No doubt about that. And it's a little bit of a raw 57. It's not a sunny 57. A little bit of a overcast, a little bit of a breeze. It says calm, but it's moving around enough that at 57 and being a little raw, you feel it a little bit. But horses will love it, and of course the track's fast and the turf. The turf just keeps holding up. Unfortunately, I think we're looking at some rain next week.
No.
We've been so lucky this fall
with
the rain, but maybe we can dodge a bullet next week.
Let's hope so. Let's kickstart here things with race number 1. Early pick 5 starts here as well. And we'll straight away go with the horse that both of us used underneath. On the rail is the number 1 Blood Prof, Ricardo D'Angelo, Javier Toledo. We have a video of the start of his last race, and he got squeezed out a fair bit there.
Yeah, he did. He got squeezed out a real fair bit there, and he usually stays a touch closer to the pace than that, but that put him in the back for the most part. And then he makes a pretty nice run all the way around the turn into the wire. Doesn't rush him up too much. It saves him enough for him to finish. You see him coming here in the red blinkers, and he comes with a good finish, a better break today. put him in a little bit better position early. Could be enough for Bloodproof with Javion Toledo. Look, this ends up being a nice race. He just keeps on chugging,
Yep.
and almost gets to Smitten enough, just can't get up there. But if he can repeat that effort with a little bit better break, that's going to be, I think, could be good enough this afternoon. I like a couple others a little bit better, but I wouldn't discount this one. And he's got some good races on the grass.
Yeah,
previously.
I thought he charged very, very gamely down the lane, and that's the kind of effort you like to see when nearing the wire. Both of us used the number 3. I used Gil Wins on top for trainer Jerry Robb. Look, significant class relief,
Yep.
a month and a half break, bit of a bumpy start last time, and then he ended up having to wrestle his way through a gap down the lane, kind of swooped over to the rail and kept on. I thought that was a decent performance.
A couple of work since that last race, Jerry, about 25% off of this short break. And you're right, getting some class relief coming out of that other than at Laurel, where, look, at the end of the day, he didn't run bad.
No,
he didn't run bad at all. He gets beat 4 lengths while running 6th. Has got a couple races. And look at that race at Pimlico back in July. That 72 by her speed figure. That's a big race while running 2nd and getting beat a length and a quarter. So, yeah, Gale Wins in my exacta. You have him on top. Absolutely, race could go through him.
Yeah, but you've got the shipper on top, Bardolino for trainer George Weaver. Look, he was tangled up in a blistering pace early and wasn't able to see out that 7 furlongs at Belmont Park. Look, he's going shorter, and they're probably not going to go that ridiculously fast early.
No, they're not going to be going 21-4.
No.
They're not going to be 21. And look,
that
look
was
that
my
race.
thought
Yeah,
process.
I mean, look at that last race. They went 21-4, 44, and 1 going 7/8 of a mile. You're going to have to be a pretty nice horse to kind of hang in there. But that was in a 2 lifetime $40,000 race at Belmont Park. He's taking a significant drop this afternoon. There's no doubt about that.
Yep.
A couple of maintenance works since that last race, getting Fergal Lynch. By the races he's coming out of, and a bit by the figures, he should be able to get the job done here. But I might be having a little buyer's remorse over him a little bit as I looked at this race a little bit more. I'm like,
I use him underneath. I'm a little bit cautious, but I did think that if you look at the way that race set up, it was clear that the majority of the runners weren't going to hold up that pace.
No, and you have to be a little suspect. A horse dropping from 40 to the 16, you just can't get around that. It run in a starter 50,000 the race before, and again, it didn't run bad. I mean, the result 5th wasn't great, but he only got beat 3.5 lengths. So, look, no doubt that there's a suspect drop here.
Yeah, race number 2, Nickel Claimers going the 1 turn or 1 mile here. You use a Blue Sky Painter as your top selection, Tim. Look, consistent and decent figures for this 4-year-old. I think he's going to get a good spot. And if you look back, the last 2 times he ran this distance at this track, he ran 2nd and 1 at claiming 10 levels. So this is clearly something he likes to do, and he's pretty decent at.
I struggled with this race. I was kind of all over the place. I ended up on Blue Sky Painter.
I heard from that sigh at the beginning.
Yeah, beaten favorite in his last race, and he's just been kind of hanging around his last few races, just kind of hanging around. I think he might have found the right group today. I think he has that going for him, but I'm not going to take out the ATM card on Blue Sky Painter today, because there are a couple other horses in here, like your top pick, the 4. My Sacred Place, I use in the bottom, and coming back off a break for Ricky Silliman.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out who really wants to win in that race and who's going to hang around late. Now, My Sacred Place, look, he has shown a fair bit of speed and sometimes not completely seen it out, but what I do like is that 1 turn mile runs a little bit, of course, like that elongated sprint, and he has got that early sort of pace ability to at least sit 40, and maybe that will allow him to carry it a little bit further. Look, he won 3 starts ago, so at least we know that, he likes to put his head in front and kind of stay there as well. And that was by 10.5 lengths. Now, that was against, normally it's a 2 lifetimes, so this is a step up there. But that was still a decent effort. I'm hoping to see something like that back. And he's 6-1 morning line, which I think is value in a field that I'm not 100% trusting some of these.
No, and I agree. I mean, he's got a 1 turn miles up there at Aqueduct that he ran pretty well. My biggest issue with My Sacred Place is he's coming back off of this layoff, and he's worked twice, and they were really well-spaced works. So we're a month in between each work, so they certainly have questions there. I like the 5 a little bit here. Percher for Anthony Pecoraro. Since dropping to this level, he's become quite competitive. Pecoraro having a nice year, winning at 21%.
Yeah, I use him underneath as well. Cleared that Norman is a 2, life and condition 3, starts back with, being part of a soft early pace before turning it up late, but that kind of works out well here. Kind of places himself wherever he needs to be to make it happen. Race number 3, 2-year-olds, 5.5 furlongs on the turf, maiden special weight event here, and we'll start with the video spotlight that we have on the number 3, your top choice, Radical Ride for trainer Dale Capuano. Look, he was part of an honest pace flow from the get-go. He didn't have the late acceleration that some of the others had here, but he kept on digging in, and this is going to be his 3rd time on the turf. He's continued to improve on it.
And he got better in this start here, even though he didn't fire like maybe you would have thought he would have. He was in a great spot. He starts to get a little belly low here late, but he needed that a 16th of a mile before then. But maybe if you come up with that acceleration a little bit earlier today, I think there's going to be some improvement, sharp work since that last race.
Yeah, and Trust Daddy was in that race. We were all aboard Trust Daddy because we remembered his first start when he was on his knees and still managed to make up so much ground. So we were all kind of keying around him to come back second time and get the win. So that is what happened with Radical Ride. Really held his own, though. I landed on a bit of a price pay. Actually, my price pay, one of my price pays. I got a couple actually today. I'm trying to get some price. Why not? Why not? Deeperfield. He gone the number 5 for Kevin Boniface. First time on the turf, last time out. He dueled and tired belatedly, but I think a second time around he can continue that improvement because that was just a whole sort of game changer for him getting on the turf.
It certainly was, and he's not on my picks right there. He was until the 12 drew into the race. The 12 changed the complexion of the whole race. We're going to get to that one in a minute, I think. But yeah, look, this horse ran a nice race, ran a decent figure that day, good enough if he can improve off that effort. He got late, but again, he was coming off a bit of a layoff. He's got that race up underneath him. He's had a work since that time on the turf up there at Bonita, 48 and change. So, yeah, this horse is eligible to improve once again.
Yeah, I think so. Well, let's talk about the 12, Undercover Kitty, because I put my selections in and then later I got a tiny bit buyer's remorse about this 2-year-old colt because we both went and looked at what Judy in Disguise did. Terrific mare. She ran in the Albany as a 2-year-old at Royal Ascot. She won her first 2 in the U.S., including a stakes, and was graded stakes placed. Cahill Lynch is sharp with his firsters. Look, you got to use her.
23% with his 2-year-olds, working well up there at Fairhill. A nice work on the synthetic on October 15th, 3/4 mile, 1:14. And this mare was a runner. She was 5 from 17 with 5 seconds and 3/3, as you mentioned. But she won on turf, she won on dirt, and she won on synthetic. She didn't care. She'd run over anything if she passes that along to Undercover Kitty.
Tough mare.
A tough mare. By Kitten's Joy. I mean, this good outside draw. I mean, it's not my favorite place to be, but it beats other options. But Cal always has his horses ready, so it's not as big a consideration for me.
Yeah, and Kitten's Joy pretty decent as well with his juveniles hitting at 14% win his first time out of the box. That is well above sire average. So certainly kind of all coming together for possibly a win here for the number 12 Undercover Kitty. So do not let him off your selections in race number 3. Race number 4, we have that Rainbow Pick 6 carryover coming your way there. $7,723 and pick 6 time, Tim.
It's pick 6 time. $43.20 ticket for me this afternoon. We get started here in race 4, and I go 3 deep using the 5, the 7, and the 11. Race 5, 2 of them there, the 2 and the 7. I might have made a mistake leaving the 1A off, so if you've got a little room, throw the 1A on. 4 deep in race 6. I spread here in that lifetime claiming race on the grass. 3, 7, 10, 13. 13 draws into race 6. Keep that in mind. Race 7, 1, 9, 11. Race 8. I use the 1, 4, and 6, and then I single in race 9, my price play of the day, and that is on our video spotlight horse in that race.
Hold on, I can find it for you really quickly.
Laugh it off. Laugh it off. Second time on the Laurel turf this afternoon for Kelly Rubley. I think he'll improve, and that's my single, my brave single to finish out the card.
Yeah, starting right here in that optional claim and starter allowance, going 1 mile and 16 on the turf. Look, we have a little bit of a dissimilar opinion in this field, Tim. I do use your 11. You don't use my 9, so we'll start with the number 11, Empty Net, drawn towards the outside. We do have a video spotlight on this runner as well. Last race, that was right here at Laurel Park, where she really jumped up and ran off the screen. Now, it looked incredibly professional. I wondered how strong the field was, kind of average field, although there were 2 next out winners from it.
Yep.
But that was including my dream girl, who then won at maiden 10 level, so still wondering how tough that really was. But look, she did completely, ran them off their feet.
It wasn't tough. Don't confuse it. It wasn't a tough race, but look how good she looked across the grass. I mean, she looked absolutely fantastic getting across the grass. She'd run on the turf the time before over a yielding course. She got a firm course the other day, and boy, that made all the difference.
Well, that
I
was
know
my
she's
question.
stepping up today. She did a 2 for 25. I know it's a step up and it's first against winners, but boy, she looks so good doing it. I'm going to stay with her.
She did, but my question was, where did that come from? Was that the change of surface?
I
Was
think
that the fact that it was an average field and that can really make a horse look good and also inflate the figure sometimes a little bit when they just kind of have no pressure
Sure.
whatsoever?
When your pound's the best, you usually get a good figure. We've talked about that before, but I think it's a combination of both. She'd run
Okay.
for the 16 the first time, got the yielding course. She ran okay. She got a firm course the other day. She certainly absolutely liked it. But I think it's the combo platter there. I think it's all of the above, but
Yeah.
I'm going to stay with her.
I use her my exacta. I landed on the number 9, Treasure Trails here. That second at Colonial last time out holds up pretty well here. Look, a couple of days of more than a couple of days, 74 days away from the track, but she posted the figures needed to best these, and I think the draw is advantageous. I think she's going to slot right in. Do wonder if she'll be ready to fire after that small break. That's probably my only caveat here.
Yeah, I mean, she hasn't run since August 11th. She hasn't at least had a posted work since September 30th. So we're going on 25 days now. Maybe there was a work that was missed closer to the race, but there's no doubt about it. Her figures hold up here. She broke her maiden and main special weight at Gulfstream Park back in May. A decent race at Colonial in her last start, but if she brings any one of her last 3 or 4 starts, it could be good enough.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping is going to be the case. Now, I don't find any updated work, so certainly, you're hoping that she's going to be ready to fire her. Both of us use the number 7 underneath as well, Perfume River for Henry Rhodes. Look, she finds a lighter field than what she's had to navigate in her last 3. I mean, she got worked up in a race 2 starts back, and then went kind of back to her usual running style in that last race, and I'm assuming she's going to try and gun them down again late.
Yeah, I mean, you take out the race 2 starts ago, which was over a good course. This is a filly who has shown up every single time. A good race in her last start. She a little bit 4 wide into the stretch, but she also might be getting just a tad bit of relief here. She's coming out of the optional 35,000, so it might be a little bit easier for her. But she shows up every single time, and this could be good enough for her to get her second win of her career.
Yeah, I think that might be the case today for her. We'll take a small break, but we'll be right back. Welcome back to Laurel Park. We're on race number 5, start of the late pick 5, with a fair bit of money already in the pool. Carryover of $32,726, courtesy of one of those stellar days that we had yesterday, Maryland Million Day. Look, it starts in race 5. I feel like that claiming a 12.5 race is a wide open field. I created a ticket here, spend a little bit more money because I couldn't really narrow down to a single, $54 flat. Use 3 horses in here. If you can't afford to go maybe a little bit deeper, probably would. 1A, 7, and 8 for me me in this spot. And then in race number 6, I go 2 deep using the 3 and the 7, that mile and 16. I like just in the nick of time. I think the flow sets up for him to try and dominate it up front here, but I do use the number 7, Be Yourself, underneath from Michael Gorham, who I think is, one of the better closers in this spot. Then in race 7, I go 3 deep again. That is that maiden special weight for 2-year-old fillies. I use the 1, the 3, and the 11 there. The 3 is a little bit of a price play. Do love the number 1, She's Like Thunder, for Ferris Allen in that spot. Race number 8, I go 3 deep again here. 1, 4, and 6. There's 7 furlongs to distance. I think Missy Taste is very interesting there against Hybrid Eclipse, who ships down for Linda Rice, has been training at Belmont Park. And in race 9, I go 2 deep here using the 7 and the 8. I do respect Laugh It Off, but I'm trying to beat her with My Girl Blue, so we'll see what happens in that spot. $54 flat, stunning right here in race number 5. And like I said, Tim, this claiming 12.5 one turn mile here, I thought this was pretty open. I must admit, I looked at this a couple of times and came up with different order for my picks. I think at least on 2 occasions here. Ended up landing on the number 8 in this spot, which is Solemn Monarch for trainer Ferris Alice. Look, plenty of time to get himself a nice toe into that race. We've got a long stretch to that home turn, and he does continue to run on well late. I look back at that last run at Timonium, I thought that was decent. Pimlico, he's done well over. At least I kind of know that he's going to try and turn up here.
Well, he's turned up every single start going back to this past April, except for the turf race in his last start. So you just draw a line through that one. His figures hold up here, no doubt about that. He's been in excellent form, as I mentioned. That was a good second-place finish at Timonium. The race time before that, he was claimed, wide open $8,000 race.
Yep.
Big race there, getting beat three-quarters lengths up pitching Ari. So, yeah, this is a horse that's in good form. I have him in my exacta, and you can't get around using him.
No, you use the number 2, Silent Malish. Look, he gets back down to the claiming 12.5 level. Is that going to be good enough? Look, he's faced some really tough foes, but he hasn't done much in his last couple.
He hasn't, but he's stretching back out for Rudy. Yep. Rudy hits at about 20%. We know how dangerous Rudy's been this fall meet. He got Calypso Ghost home for me yesterday,
yep.
$17.
You were very grateful for that.
80
yep.
cents, so I was very grateful for that. But look, 2 back, this horse ran a decent race going a mile and a 16th. And he's had earlier this year. I mean, this horse was firing some big races, some big numbers. We're talking mid-70s, lower 70s, and I think he can get back to that today. That was an improved effort in his last start in that starter 16,000. Behind Looking at Rose and the King Cheek. So I think the horse is going in the right direction at the right time. I'm going to take Silent Malice 4-1 on the line.
Yeah, I have 1A Lucky Bridges underneath as well. Yeah. Kind of was thinking of even putting him on top. 2 months break, drops. I feel like this is a little bit easier than some of the fields that he saw at Delaware. I still think he runs better when he's closer to the pace. If you go back throughout his form lines, you see that some of his best performances are when he's kind of within reach the entire time. This field, to me, there's just a couple that you're kind of questioning, how is it going to fold? How is this going to turn out? I think Lucky Bridges can get that maybe like stalking spot and make a move.
I had Kid Dioro on top as my best bet of the day, which was the other half of the entry. Kid Dioro is out. I end up using Lucky Bridges at the bottom of my ticket. Look, he comes off a short break. He clearly needed the break. He ran 2 bad races in a row. Prior to that, this horse was running really, really well with good, strong figures. My question is, here's another one that comes in off this a pretty good break, and he has 2 very well-spaced works, almost a month in between the works. Certainly, I question, why the big gap in the works? Is this horse doing as good as he was before? And look, it's probably at the end of the day not a big drop in class because he's wide open 12-5 claimers. They're tough heats, but it does get a price on him where he could get sold, and it's been a long time since he's run for a price. So he could be having the for sale sign on him this afternoon.
Well, we'll see how our race 5 pans out. Race 6 claiming 16 to 12,500, 1 mile and 16 on the lawn here. And Tim, significant, the 11 and the 13 do draw in off the AE list, and you placed the number 13, hence on top in this spot. Coral Legacy for Hugh McMahon. Lost out by a small margin in his last 2 tries at the same level here. He's game no matter what the pace setup in. He's close into a slower pace. He can close into a fast pace. Look, that's the kind of run that you'd like to see at this level. Just tough, consistent tries.
No doubt about that. I don't mind him on the outside. We're going to go mile and eighth today, mile 16th.
Mile 16,
this afternoon. Third off of a break. Those 2 races that he came back in at this level were good, solid races, as you mentioned. Got beat a nose to toe curl and kiss. Got beat a neck the time before. And, even before that, this horse was in pretty good form. So I'm going to take a Coral Legacy. Fergal Lynch returns 4-1 on the line.
See, I use the number 3 just in the nick of time, and I absolutely love what kind of setup he might get here. I think the race flow means that he's possibly going to try and take the lead. I don't really see anyone that really wants to go here, so I don't expect him to be going too fast early. Second start after a break, second start after a barn change for Andrew Simov. Michael Sanchez gets on board here. I think this could work out for this run. I like the low draw. It's going to save ground. Why not?
And he drops. He's dropping out of the starter into the 16,000 hours of 3. Andy Simov, second off this type of break, 34%. Andy, a good guy, a real good friend of mine. And but this is a horse that ran a good race in his last start, this second off the break. But you look back on his form earlier this year down the fairgrounds, a decent race there. And then, of course, last year at the fairgrounds and in the Midwest, he was running quite well. So there's races to go on his form. He looks like he's going the right direction now. Gets Michael Sanchez, who's been riding quite well here in Maryland.
He has indeed. Race number 7, maiden special weight for fillies. A 2-year-old going the mile and an 8 on the turf here, Tim. I'm looking forward to this race. I think this is a fun race.
It's a great race. And a 2-year-old's going a mile and 8th. I love to see it. Let's stretch them out. I mean, in Europe, this would be commonplace, but here it's not so much. So it's good to see, and clearly people were interested in the race as it attracts a full field with 3 on the also eligible. So it's more on the also eligible, so 4 on the also eligible. So clearly people were attracted to this race. I have the one on top. She's like thunder. Look, she's coming out of a big effort in the Salima behind Consumer Spending, a Chad Brown horse, where she only got beat 2.5 lengths. And this is a filly who's shown up every time. She's never run a bad race in her career, worked since, stretches to the 9 furlongs. So I think there's a lot to like.
Yeah, and she showed a fair bit of professionality and gamesmanship as well, because when she was making her run down the lane in the Salima, she had another runner on the inside that was kind of hustling her to get out. She was, they were trying to carry her out a little bit, but Jorge Ruiz were saying no thank you and kept her in. And this filly was game enough to say, I'm with you, we're sticking our course, kept on finding. Now had no answer to Consumer Spending, who just kind of lifted off a little bit like a rocket late, but she's like thunder, was incredibly strong. I'm trying to beat her here, but after I watched that race back, I'm thinking she is very much the class act in this field. I'm trying to beat her with the number 3, Wasser, for trainer Arnaud Delacour. Made her debut with the blinkers on. Blinkers go off, a move that the Delacour stable does very well, with 27% from a small 11 runners doing so. But still, second start also tend to do better. Second start runners tend to do better for the Delacour barn. They kind of move up. Right. She was behind a very slow pace on her debut. Still had a bit of run late, but it was trying to close into that, which didn't work. She's out of a multiple route turf mare. She's the first foal, but her grand dam, My Princess Jade, was Grade 1 stakes placed and winner of Grade 2 Lake George at Saratoga. So, the dam size, a little bit of class going back.
There's no doubt she will improve here this afternoon. I may have overlooked her a little bit. 3 good works since that last race. As you mentioned, the blinkers go on, and she's cut out to be a nice filly, especially on the grass. And I left her off my pick 6 too, so that may have been a bit of a mistake. We'll see how it all shakes out.
She's one of my other price plays. She's 12-1 morning line. Like I said, I'm trying to get some prices home here. Both of us also use the number 11, Vergara, for trainer Graham Emotion. Look, I thought that was a decent debut effort. That was sprinting 5.5 furlongs, but she's actually, if you look at the siblings, now all placed in their first run, so good precocious family, but her half brother Bullseye, he enjoyed going long on the turf. turf and kind of topped out at an 88 Bayer there. So pedigree suggests that that would work out for her. And of course, she's by Noble Mission, 3-time Group 1 winner, brother to the mighty Frankel. That is all, that miler, stayers, turf European influence.
There's no doubt about that. And she's stretching from 5.5 furlongs to 9 furlongs today. It's a big jump, but it is Graham Motion, so I'm not real worried about it. They get their mileage in. Graham makes sure those bases are covered. It hasn't worked since that last race. And I agree with you. I thought that was a really nice race first time out. She laid close enough to a pretty quick pace. I mean, 22-1, 46-3, and she still was able to come with some finish, only getting beat a length while running third. She moves forward today. I like the outside draw. Michael Sanchez can kind of put her wherever he wants. I expect her to be laying reasonably close,
I think so,
but maybe a little bit in the clear and getting a nice smooth trip.
Yeah, race number 8, 2 other than optional claimer fillies and mares, 3-year-old and up, 7 furlongs the distance here. And look, we use similar horses. I use the number 1 Misty Taste to try and beat Hybrid Eclipse. You have Hybrid Eclipse on top, but she hasn't raced in 113 days. She does come at that Delaware Oaks. Just wonder if she's gonna be ready to fire. This is the longest layoff she's ever had throughout her career. She had a layoff in between 58 days, ran back finishing 6th. That was in the Weber City Miss. Delaware Oaks 4th was decent. Before that, she won 3 times bar that Weber City Miss. So I think that class-wise, this suits her a little bit better.
I think so. And coming off a layoff, Linda Rice pretty good at about 19% and been working pretty well up there at Belmont Park. Has a win over this racetrack, going a mile in the 16th, and her figures have been strong. And she's been good going 7/8 of a mile. 2 starts, a win in a second. So I think she's got the right things going for her, getting Georgie Vargas this afternoon. So, yeah, I like a Hybrid Eclipse this afternoon.
I like it, too. I tried to beat her with the one, though, Misty Taste in here. She needs a decent pace to run, I guess, and I like that kind of cutback for her, getting back to the 7 furlongs. From some decent efforts going a mile at Monmouth Park at Delaware, she held her own against similar in those fields.
Yeah, you just I look at her. She's in my exact, and she showed up a little bit last time, but wow, this is one of these horses you look at and you go, what happened here? First off the claim, fires an 87 by her speed figure after not even reaching into the 70s in her speed figures, and comes back with a 74 while running second, tails off a little bit in that Delaware race, but look, if she runs back to those Monmouth races, she's going straight to the winner's circle. Nobody's going to beat her, but she's going to need to do that.
True.
If she runs to her previous races, won't quite be good enough. With all that said, she was coming off a little bit of a layoff from April to June, and maybe she's just starting to get better and just throw that Delaware race out. But that's a big jump in figures.
I'm hoping that she's going to back up my judgment here. Final race on the day, mile and 8th on the turf for maiden claim is 16 to 12,500 for the ladies. Do a video spotlight on the number 8, Laugh It Off, who's your top selection trainer, Kelly Rubley. Look, she had to be asked early that day by Angel Grease. He was riding her from about half a mile out, but look, she does respond very willingly to him.
She does, and she finishes up pretty well here, ends up getting beat a length and a half. The short comment is she flattened out a little bit, and she probably did right through here, but it was a good game effort. This was her first start over the Laurel grass. This will be her second start here at Laurel Park, and I expect her to move forward with a couple of works for Kelly Rubley since that last start. So I'm going to stay with her. She's 4-1 on the line. She's my price play of the day, and she's my single on my pick 6.
Very
if
confident
I get that far.
there. Yeah, I use the 7 on top. 7, 8, 3, 10 for me. 8, 3, 7, 11 for Tim as we move along to lightning round. We got to start with our feature race here, the Maryland Million Classic, 3rd time a charm for the 6-year-old Pren Demi, who was a big price, a bit of an upset winner here, able to hold on from the get-go.
From the get-go, he took the lead to at the very beginning, and you can see he's a little bit. There he goes. He jumps the tracks and a little bit of
flicked his ears around a
yeah,
little bit
all
as well.
the way up the stretch. He was flicking his ears
looking
all around. You can
around.
tell that he's a little quirky, no doubt about that. But he ran a big race for that win yesterday, and one of the races that were just horses just got really game, and he did too.
He did indeed. As we move along to the distaff, of course, we were wondering, is Hello Beautiful going into the history books as the 7th horse ever to win 3 Maryland Million events? And well, she did. And she did it with gusto.
Oh, she did it in style. I mean, I just never imagined in a million years they would just kind of. She didn't break well. I mean, she did not break well at all. She was a length out of it, 30, 40 yards into the race, and I just never imagined they would just let her kind of go do her thing, and they certainly did. And maybe they decided that, look, if we try to run with her, it's probably going to hurt us just as much. It might hurt her. So. They chose to just lay off of her, but once you do that, she gets that lead, she's gone. And then it's not only she gone, she draws off from you in the stretch. Street Loot was pretty game and running second, different style.
Yeah, Street Loot very, very game.
And we talked about that, if you remember, the race before at Delaware Park, Street Loot's always gone to the front, but they let her lay off at Delaware Park. She passed horses and came with a win. They tried to do the same thing yesterday, and they probably saved second by doing it.
Yeah, I thought she was incredibly game running down the lane there. Let's talk about the turf here. Some kind of magician just able to hold on. That was a blanket finish. It took me about 10 minutes trying to figure out if he had got it or not. Of course, the photo actually came up within 5 minutes, so I'm exaggerating here. But what incredible game performance from this 7-year-old for Gary Contessa, winner of the Fine Stakes before that at Pimlico. And look at that. They're all hitting the wire in unison.
Hey, look, if they're coming the other direction, that looks like a race from Europe, because that's the way they blanket finishes all the time on the turf. That was a big, big effort for some kind of magician. And that wasn't an easy heat. That was a tough heat, and it proved it at the wire with 4 of them right across there.
Yeah, and what a story as well for the young jockey. Charlie Marquez gets his first Maryland Million Stakes victory. Already won the turf starter earlier on the card, but this was his first stakes. Of course, leading rider at Pimlico, has really, really developed himself as one of our, one of our top riders. And this was tough. Buffalo, he had to dig in deep, and duly rewarded.
Yeah, he did. I mean, kudos to both Buffalo and Charlie Marquez as you see him coming out here from the jocks room. I mean, it was just a game effort by that horse. A really, really game effort, and congratulations to Charlie. Just another notch in his belt, getting a Maryland Million race day win.
Absolutely. It was a day full of stories and thrilling finishes. If you haven't watched back some of the replays, do go to YouTube, to the Maryland Jockey Club page to have a look and relive some of the events again. It was quite the treat. I know you're very experienced with Maryland Million Days. This was my first with the fans in attendance. What a great turnout as well.
It was a great turnout. I take my customary walk through the grandstand and on the apron, and everyone was having fun. The kids are playing with the magicians, and everyone's enjoying the races. We had a good crowd at the paddock almost every race, which was fun. So it was a good day. We handled very well. Thank you, fans.
Thank you so much, everyone supporting our product.
Yep. You build it, they will come. That's what they said in that movie. And we built a good card yesterday, and they came.
Yeah, and 9 tough races coming your way today as well. Plenty of wagering opportunities. Tim and I will be back throughout the day to guide you in the right direction. Good luck.